The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And it is time for another edition of Mick Shots inside the SWBC podcast studio here at the Star in Frisco. And as you can tell, Everson Walls is going through the cut list of the National Football League as we speak,
Sad
seeing
news.
Whose name might be on that
Sad
list.
news. And this is for you, Bill. Man, I saw it last night. Like, damn it, it didn't make it this year. Colt McCoy.
Oh, yeah.
Colt McCoy got cut today.
Colt McCoy.
Yesterday.
Yeah, Colt McCoy, yes. That was a surprise move by the Arizona Cardinals after they made the trade last week for Joshua Dobbs from Cleveland. And they have in camp the University of Houston quarterback, whose name escapes me as we speak right now, out of Hebron High School at that. And with Kyler Murray on PUP to start the season.
You just knew they'd keep him, right?
You would think.
Yeah.
And this applies to the Cowboys because game number 3, week 3, what are the Cowboys doing?
What are they doing, Bill?
They're playing the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, okay.
So Kyler's out the first 4 games for sure. He's on the PUP list. And now they're going with a quarterback who does not – of course, Colt McCoy doesn't have a lot of experience in this league playing games. He has a lot of experience in the league, though. But that was a surprise move. And how many more surprises might we see as we hit the deadline of 3 o'clock this afternoon?
You know, I don't think we're going to see many surprises here. I think it's pretty –
We've already had one. I hadn't had a chance to talk to you guys about it.
I bet we could do it right now.
And Clayton Tune, producer Supreme, reminded me. Clayton Tune is the quarterback.
Thank you, Chris.
University of Houston, Arizona, and his brother Nathan Tune. They were record-setting quarterbacks at Hebron High School. Go ahead, Mickey.
Where was I?
You were
distracting me, right? I said we probably won't have. You know, it seems like we haven't done a podcast in forever.
Since Friday.
A lot's going on.
There has been a lot that has happened since Friday.
Can someone please talk to me about what's going on with this whole new transition that we just had, this transaction, rather?
And that would be the transaction for Treey Lance.
Dude? What is happening? Somebody tell me what is going on.
Well, we had
everybody's asking me questions like I'm the expert.
Last time we convened was Friday morning, and this season apparently is going to be a lot like past seasons, that the breaking news happens right after we get off the air. And it was a few hours after we got off the air Friday evening. Word breaks about the Cowboys trading a 4th-round pick for Treey Lance. How about the way Will Grier played?
I called Spags right away. I called him right away and wanted to know what the heck was going on and what did he know about it. And did he know about it when we were on the show?
I knew about it. No.
I just was
checking. No one knew about it until the 49ers called.
The Cowboys didn't know about it until it went down. And, you know, my feelings on it is they sort of have taken a shot in the dark with a 4th-round pick, hoping that it pays dividends down the road, either as developing a future backup quarterback or developing a quarterback they can flip for better draft choice than what they traded for.
I got to say,
He hadn't played.
I don't know if I'm glad he's here or not.
He hadn't played any football.
Yeah,
that's the biggest deal on this whole deal.
Well, and I think the biggest thing is his youth. I mean, he's only 23 years old, and I think what this team and Mike McCarthy's talked about it. They like having their established starting quarterback. Then you've got a veteran backup. They have that in Cooper Rush, but they also like to have a young quarterback, a developmental quarterback.
And he's younger than the one that we already have.
He's 5 years younger than
23.
Will Grier.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, he is, and his experience level. I mean, he is the same age right now. Even though he's been in the league, he's going into his third year in the league, he is the same age Dak Prescott was when he was a rookie.
That's right.
And Dak, when you look back at Dak in college, he was basically a 3-year starter at Mississippi State, had played a lot of football, had led a team for a long time, and Treey Lance, for 1 year. It was a 16-game national championship FCS season. He led North Dakota State to where they always go, to the national championship game, and right up the road in Frisco. And then the next year was the COVID year. They only played 1 game, and so he declares for the draft and becomes the 3rd pick in the draft. And we've seen over the last 2 years, I mean, a year ago at this time, he was the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers.
And was doing pretty well.
2 games, he gets hurt, and then Brock Purdy comes along after Jimmy G got hurt, and so here we are now. But from a developmental standpoint, he hasn't played very much football.
Well, here's the not very much football. He only started 1 year in high school, his senior year.
No, it's just like me.
Since his
as a quarterback,
since his senior year in high school at North Dakota State and at San Francisco, he's only thrown 420 passes. Think about that. He played 16 games and then 1 game in COVID year, because then they decided they were playing in the spring, and he said, no, I'm going into the NFL. To me, when he got drafted, he wasn't even 21 years old. He was still 20. So when I wrote, I said, this is like quarterback abuse. I mean, he has not had any time to develop. And when he got his opportunities in San Francisco, he got hurt, right? His rookie year, he ended up with a sprained knee, and then he broke a finger, and I read where it was his index finger on his throwing hand, and he could never straighten that finger out the entire year. And then the next year, they give him the starting job, and in the second game, he suffers a kind of a Dak-like ankle injury. And that was it.
Yeah.
And now he comes in and plays, what, one preseason game, maybe 2, and they were like, no, we're out.
You know, if he was a 4th-round draft pick, like he should have been, then
like Dak should not have been.
Yeah, like Dak should not have been, right? People would say he's right where he should be in his career right now. But since he was the 3rd pick in the draft, you got these higher expectations for him. To Mickey's point, he threw a total in that one season, 16 starts, he only threw 287 passes because of the type of offense he was in at North Dakota
He
State.
ran for 1,100 yards.
Yeah.
And think about it. So 420 passes since high school. Dak threw 460 his rookie year. So he hasn't, you know, and I hear all these people talking about what they saw in a preseason game. He hasn't seen enough.
No.
You got to see, you got to play. That's why I always look at college quarterbacks that come out early. If you don't play enough in college, you're not ready for the NFL. I'm sorry. And I guarantee you he was not ready for the NFL. And it wasn't his fault that
And
San Francisco...
it wasn't just that he was young. He has even less experience as a college player.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, you know, a lot of guys come out early, and I remember Blaine Gabbert at Missouri. He came out a year early. He wasn't ready. I could have told him he wasn't ready. He got to the NFL. Was it Jacksonville, I believe? He wasn't ready, and he still never developed the way he should have.
Okay,
this guy has not played enough football.
We had a quarterback the other night that looked pretty damn good.
Right.
But he was playing for his practice squad life, right?
Well, he was playing for his what he hopes will be a veteran backup job in the NFL, a number 2 job in the NFL is what another team.
On this team.
On this team, no, he was
going to be at best on the practice squad.
Yeah, that's my point. That's my point.
Yeah.
Now you've got Treey, and Treey, he could be that guy. He could be that 3rd string guy, right? We talked about this.
He could be the guy on the 53-man roster.
He could be on the 53-man roster. That's a worst-case scenario. That's a worst-case scenario. He could be, if things work out well, this is what I was talking to you about. Let's say he starts to develop, and this is a good system for him. This is a great system for him. All of a sudden, he starts to develop, like, okay, I get this system. I like this coach. I like Schottenheimer maybe. And all of a sudden, he's looking better than Grier. Then you can see while his athletic ability might be able to, transform him into a second string.
And I think that's what the idea was, to develop a second string, a backup quarterback for the time being. They've got two years, right? He's on his third year. Next year is the fourth year. This year, by the way, his base salary would save them $68,000 compared to Will Grier's base salary. Because he's in his fifth year, right?
And they gave him away. They just gave him away.
Yeah.
They ate a lot of money.
They did a lot, like $11 million.
Ooh, man. So they had to really be disappointed in what they saw.
Well, John Lynch said that night they were playing a preseason game, and he was on their broadcast in the second quarter, and he basically said, "We're ready to win now." And so they obviously going to attach their wagon to Brock Purdy, and then Sam Darnold as sort of a veteran backup that they don't
number
have
3 guy is Brandon Allen.
And Brandon Allen. And, when they told him he was going to be the third guy, he said, well, I'd like to be traded. And it's like, okay, well, you got your wish.
And they're happy to get a 4th-round pick for their mistake pick.
See, it wasn't his fault he was the third pick in the draft.
No, it wasn't.
And it wasn't his fault that they gave up 3 first-round picks and a third to move up from 12.
They got a lot of criticism for that.
Yeah,
they got a lot of criticism for that.
Because guess what? If they stayed at 12,
yeah,
they could have drafted Micah Parsons.
Or they could have drafted Micah Parsons at 3.
Yeah, that's right.
And even though they would have been heavily criticized, think about that. Think how much they would have been criticized if they had traded 3 first-round draft picks plus a third to move up to number 3 to take Micah Parsons. They would have been ridiculed left and right. But now looking back on it, that would have been a great trade for him.
Buddy.
Could you imagine Parsons alongside Bosa on the other side of Bosa?
Warner,
and if you look at it,
that's right.
And see, everybody panicked that year. So Trevor Lawrence goes number 1. Zach Wilson, how'd that turn out for the Jets, go number 2. He goes number 3. Justin Fields, number 11. And I believe Mac Jones was 15th if I remember. So at 12, the Cowboys took Micah Parsons. And they traded down to do that, by the way. So, yeah, I mean, he didn't say, hey, trade 3 first-round picks for me. And if you remember, around that time, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, they were brilliant.
Yes,
right.
They sure were. Now, not so much.
They had this league, figured out, right? And then it's like, oops. So sometimes you take the eraser out and say, okay, we got to move on.
And odds are Lance is not going to see the playing field. The Cowboys hope he doesn't see the playing field this season. And so now you go into next year, and he's going into the last year of his rookie contract. And you could be at a point there where there's nothing that says the Cowboys can't extend him and relieve of some of that. I think it's a $5.3 million cap hit for next year.
Yeah.
And it might be in Treey Lance's best interest to redo his contract here with the Cowboys if he likes it here, likes the coaching staff and so forth, where you have him for longer than these 2 seasons.
Yeah, because they're not going to pick
his market is not going to be out there if he doesn't never play.
Right. And somebody asked, are you going to pick up his 5th-year option? The 5th-year option is probably like $28 million. Yeah, come on. I don't even think you need to ask that, right?
So did Will Grier do anything for himself?
Oh, I think so. I think in a lot of ways, not only what he did on the field, but how he handled the whole situation. That opened up a lot of eyes probably around the league. Yeah. Should we give Dak a lot of credit for
for Will Grier's
Yeah, that's right.
resurgence.
I mean, that play calling was.
He knew his talent, right? It's like,
That's
okay,
right.
I'm
That was
going
pretty
to
cool,
call
though.
to
He-
his
That's
talent.
pretty
He
cool.
knew
Right?
Hunter Lipke's talent, too. Which
Yes.
brings me to another point. Who were your picks to click on Saturday night? Y'all remember?
Mine was Bohannon.
Okay.
Yeah,
Quentin Bohannon.
mine was Bohannon.
I don't remember.
Okay. I remember mine.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
You don't
'Cause you
remember
knew
mine?
he was going to play forever,
You don't
right?
remember yours. That's the question. You don't
Yeah.
remember his
That's because
own.
he didn't do very well. He'd remember. I forget mine when they don't do well. Hunter Lipke was my pick to click.
No, I think I took Eric Scott because he
You
always
did.
he
You
always
sure
makes
did.
a play.
You sure did.
I'm not sure he did, but
He was out there for a lot of plays.
Lipke's, no wonder he didn't have to go get oxygen after the game.
Mm-hmm.
They wore his butt
How
out.
did Bohannon do?
Yeah, I think we'll get into cutting this roster down, but to go back to Grier, now he did it against. Somebody said, well, he did it against, guys that aren't going to be playing in the league. And I'm going, he was doing it with guys that
That's
aren't
my
going to be
point.
playing
That's my
in the
point.
league.
Yeah, you're playing with the same caliber of guys on offense
that you're playing
Yeah.
against. So, yeah, and that offensive line was pretty shaky. And I know we're going to get into that.
Will look good, scrambling off into the pocket, getting out, running the ball.
All right, so I think Babe Laufenberg, I was driving home Saturday night listening to the post-game show on the Fan, and Brad Sham was on, and Babe called in when Brad was on the post-game show, and he presented the question, does this do anything for Will Grier's trade value leading up to Tuesday? Would there be a team out there willing to give up a 7th-round draft pick for Will Grier?
No, if they think there's other tems that are interested in him, because they know he's going to get cut, right?
Yeah.
He's getting cut.
Right.
But if you're
In his status, he's not subject to waivers.
to waivers, right? So you would have to start bidding against other teams, not not from a trade standpoint, but a financial standpoint. So. If
So you
like
throw
him,
one. I mean, the obvious team out there who might be interested in Grier would be the team that has coaches on that staff that have worked with him before, and that would be the Chargers.
Where is he from?
He went to West Virginia to school. Now, I'm glad you asked that question because he started his college career at Florida, and Doug Nussmeier was the offensive coordinator
That's
at
where
Florida.
I remember him from.
And
That's where I
Nussmeier,
remember him from.
so Nussmeier knows him from back high school, basically, in North Carolina, and he's the quarterback's coach with Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator with the Chargers. So you would think that might be the landing spot for Grier. They have Easton Stick as their backup to Justin Herbert right now.
and so Kellen Moore knows
And
him.
then they cut Max Duggan yesterday, their
Right.
7th-round draft pick.
Kellen Moore knows him. Nussmeier might have been the reason why he ended up here. So
So a team like that, if they want to make sure that they got him, then, or if it was another team, then they could.
and he's basically making the 5th-year minimum. It's 1-point-something million. So
He looks like a California guy. He's got the hair, the facial hair, got the look. I can see him in San Diego.
Yeah, and then the other one is Washington. Ron Rivera is the head
LA
coach there. He was a 3rd-round pick of Carolina when Rivera was the head coach there. So there's another one. When they have Sam Howell as their starter and Jacoby Brissett, but they are in the market for quarterbacks, obviously. All right, we're just getting started
by the
here.
way, let me throw this out when we finish with Treey Lance. He did get here yesterday, so he was in the building. They've already started working with him, and we should get an opportunity to do an interview with him at some point today.
Here on Mix Shots?
On Mix Shots would be really nice,
Yeah, it
right?
would be. All right, we continue with Mix Shots in just a moment.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Mick Shots.
Cape Post Roofing and Waterproofing, the official roofer of the Dallas Cowboys.
That was your best read yet.
I like roofer.
And you've got a script in front of you now. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're not ad-libbing it.
Right.
Thank God. Thank God.
All right. We count down the hours now to the deadline. The teams across the league have to be down to 53 players by 3 o'clock this afternoon.
And we have a interview with Mike McCarthy, a press conference at 3:30.
3:30.
So
right after that.
Make sure you listen.
Okay.
DallasCowboys.com.
And Mickey is ready to cut players right now.
I am. You want to start?
You start.
Quarterback.
We took care of that one.
There's going to be 3 of them, okay? Now, the debate will be at running back, because I think we know 2 for sure, Pollard, and I would say Rico Dowdle. Will you give me that?
We know 3.
And we know 3.
Yes.
And the third would be?
Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn. That's right. And then after that, do you keep a 4th? And Bill is a proponent of keeping Hunter Lipke.
Mm-hmm.
I just, on Sunday, I was thinking about it going, you know what? Because before Saturday night, I mean, I thought, okay, Hunter Lipke is your perfect practice player. Okay, he hadn't had an opportunity to do anything in the preseason. And then I watch him on Saturday night, and then I'm thinking, I look up, his history a little closer. Ran a 4.6 at the 40 at the combine in the 40 and 37 vertical. He's got the athleticism to be a good special teams player as well. And with the Cowboys' situation at linebacker, I'm sitting there going, okay. Hunter Lipke, Malik Davis. I mean, if you're keeping 4 running backs, okay, and we've seen Malik Davis, and one thing that goes through the minds, perhaps, of the scouts and coaches here in the front office is, all right, who can you get to the practice squad, and so anyway, Hunter Lipke entered my mind as a guy that
sounded like a major stretch.
But,
I mean, you were
think
really
about it,
stretching that.
But wait, think about it this way, though. You saw some of his capability in that game. Mm-hmm. He's pretty versatile. And who's going to help you more on special teams, Malik Davis or Hunter Lipke?
And I don't know that question. I don't know. You guys would know.
Well,
that
I'm looking at his body type, Lipke. He looks like he'd be willing to go down and make some tackles for me, cover punts, kickoffs, block. I can see, on that first kickoff a return, they had Rico Dowdle as one of the, what do you call the two before the guy that catches the ball? Whatever that line of defense is.
A wing? On the kickoff. You said the kickoff. Okay.
Yeah, kickoff return.
I thought you were talking punt team.
No, kickoff return. You have two guys in front.
Yeah,
of
we got you.
Yeah, go ahead.
And Dowdle is there. So anyway, I just think he can do more for you and probably get Malik Davis on the practice squad.
And let's face it, there's a lot of running backs going to be cut.
Right.
A lot of running backs are going to be out there too.
Yeah.
What Lipke, his position versatility on offense intrigues me as well, just because he's, around 240 pounds. I mean, he could develop into a fullback type as well.
Actually, 245. They got
listed 245. At the combine, he was 232. And so with your tight ends, if you had an injury at tight end, whatever, he can do some of that H-back stuff that we see Sean McEwen do with the tight ends. I think there's some value there. But when you're cutting down the roster and you're having to figure out, okay, I've got X amount of injured players, and but they aren't injured to the point they're out for the season, but they got to be on the 53, and they may go on IR to start the season. Then you got to take risk with certain players, and so enters your mind, is Lipke a guy that would get picked up on waivers by another team? Can you get him to the practice squad?
Yeah, or can
Malik Davis for that matter?
Can you get him through? Yeah. And then sign them back after you put somebody else on injured reserve.
Yeah.
So that's the question there. Okay.
So are we going with 4 running backs?
Yes.
We are going with 4, whether it's Malik Davis or Hunter Lipke.
Yeah.
We're going with 4.
And I think if it's Lipke, it's 4. If it's Davis, it might be 3.
Okay.
How about wide receiver?
Mm-hmm.
You have the 5 who did not play in the game on Saturday.
So you're assuming they're going to
the big 3
right?
plus Tolbert and Turpin.
And we're going to count Turpin as a wide receiver, not a specialty guy. All right. So do you keep 6? And if you keep the 6th, to me it comes down between Jalen Brooks and Simi Fehoko.
Okay.
And now, which guy's going to help me more on special teams?
Based on what you just did with the running backs, then you're going to look at the wide receivers the same way.
Right.
Fehoko is a bigger guy, ready for special teams, played special teams already. He's already done that. Based on your logic on running backs, seemed like Fehoko would be the guy.
And the only thing, if it's a tie, Brooks was your 7th-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
So...
And Fehoko was your 5th-round pick 2 years ago.
And this is his 3rd. So I think that's a decision.
The other difference is where are they in their career? And Fajoko's going into his 3rd year. You only have him under control for 2 more years, and you have Brooks for 4 years as a rookie.
So
what is Brooks' upside as a receiver?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be their debate. I kind of like Brooks.
I do too.
All right, tight end. Keeping all 4 of them.
Yes.
All right, meaning we're keeping McEwen.
That's right.
Yes.
I just think he does too many different things for him to let him go. And I think somebody would pick him up if you tried to get cute and release him and then try to sign him back after you put somebody on IR. And that decision became much easier after John Stevens, unfortunately, tears his ACL.
Mm-hmm. Next question. Move on. We're keeping 4 tight ends.
Okay. Now, offensive line.
Yeah, I figured you'd get all emotional. You get emotional about this squad.
I got my starting 5.
You got your starting 5.
And after that, I'm sucking air through my teeth. I think Matt Forniak makes it.
Okay. He's one of your interior guys then.
As either my backup center and can play some guard.
Mm-hmm.
After that, if you look at how they were rotating the offensive linemen in practice last week when they didn't have Zach Martin and Tyron Smith taking all the first-team reps, Awesome Richards came in and got first-team reps at left tackle, and T.J. Bass came in and got the reps at right guard. And then Ball gets hurt, so he's headed to IR. And I don't know.
So he is headed to IR.
I don't know
season
for
ending
the season or
and the difference there, Everson, is if it's
right.
You make if you put him on IR now, he's out for the year.
Right.
If you can you can have him on the 53, and then he would go to IR, and then you can bring him back.
One of those two things is going to happen because McCarthy said it's a multi-week injury.
Right.
So we'll see where.
So the question they have to decide is, do they feel like that he can be a contributor in the second half of the season?
Right. And then they got to find enough guys like C.J. Goodwin that they can cut and tell them, don't go anywhere. We're going to re-sign you after 24 hours.
Didn't we have this same problem last year?
Yeah.
Every year we have the same problem.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And backup offensive linemen. And so are you going to keep 3? Are you going to keep 4?
So, all right, what do you do? You mentioned Farniak and Awesome Richards, and then T.J. Bass is another one that I like.
So that's 8. And now do you keep Willetsko? And he had the shoulder subluxation, but he came back and actually practiced last week and played in the game. So that was somebody they thought they could develop. After that, I just don't see him keeping Udoka.
And he's another injured
and
player.
He's still injured. And I don't know if he's worth, saying, okay, we're going to keep him and then put him on IR. You might just do an injury settlement with him.
I keep thinking you can't make the club in the tub.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
And he's been
right
out
now.
for 3 weeks with a hyperextended knee that caused a bone bruise. That
sounds ugly.
How many offensive linemen will they have on their 53 when it's all said and done?
Well, you'd like 9.
Mm-hmm.
You'd like to keep, 3 of them active on game day on your 48. So I would be looking at the waiver wire, I think, for maybe a more veteran guy. I saw one veteran-type guy got cut. He was a former first-round pick. Hopefully I can say his name right. Ifedi.
Jermaine Ifedi.
A&M guy. But he's bounced around the Bears, and then I can't remember who just released him. But he's bounced around a little bit these last couple of years.
Okay, let's move to defense.
All right.
When we come back here in just a moment on Mick Shots.
Move it along.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Back to Mick Shots.
The 2023 Dallas Cowboys season at AT&T Stadium is right around the corner, and limited single-game tickets are available now. Don't miss your chance to see your Cowboys live at AT&T Stadium when they host the NFC East rival Eagles, Giants, and Commanders, plus the Jets, Patriots, Rams, Seahawks, and Lions. Visit DallasCowboys.com/tickets or SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing provider of AT&T Stadium.
You are out of practice.
Mickey, you were
he is out of
you
practice.
were much better on that other one.
He is out of practice.
That's
when
way
it comes
too
to
long.
read.
Part of it is there was a false start at the beginning.
Well, you're supposed to be ready to read it right away.
That's right. You were slow off the snap. It was the opposite of a falce start.
I was
The rest of the offense moved.
Mozzie Smith. I was
He's
Mozzie Smith.
He's still the center holding the ball.
That's right. Okay, we're going to defense now.
Speaking of
as
defensive
Mickey continues
line.
cutting the team, earning favor with so many behind the scenes here.
Okay.
Players are not going to want to talk to Mickey when they make the team.
I'm looking at this in numerical order. All right?
Numerical order, okay.
Sam
Can't
Williams.
do this by positions.
Sam
You gotta do it by
Williams.
their number.
Sam Williams. You good with that?
Number 54, okay.
Yeah.
Dante Fowler.
56.
Mozzie Smith.
58.
DeMarcus Lawrence.
Okay.
90.
We jumped up.
Dorrance Armstrong.
92.
Good with that.
Yeah.
Junior Fihoko.
Okay.
Good with that. How many we at now? 6?
Well,
Or 5? What do we got?
You had me
4, 5.
confused. I was keeping
That's
up with
6.
the numbers.
That's 6. Jonathan Hankins makes it.
Yep.
Osa makes it. Chauncey Golston. And I think their decision will come down between Gallimore and Quentin Bohanna.
So there were 9, I think.
I had 9 before I got to
so they're
going
to keep 10.
So keep 10.
So
does that sound right?
Did we say Parsons?
He's not including Parsons in the group.
You're not?
He's listed as a linebacker.
So they're keeping 11 defensive linemen.
Yeah, and so you might just keep 9 and count Parsons as your 10th, right?
Do it by interior and
Okay.
defensive tackles versus defensive ends.
All right, so defensive ends. You got Williams, Fowler, Lawrence, Armstrong. Fijoko's kind of been doing
He's a
both.
tweener, yeah. And so's Golston.
And Golston's been, they kind of moved him
Golston
inside.
and Fihoko are both.
So those are kind of boths.
So no Bohanna.
So besides Parsons, of edge rushers, you've got 4 plus Parsons.
Williams, Fowler, Lawrence, Armstrong.
Yep.
And then however you look at Golston and who was the
Fihoko.
other? Fihoko. Yeah.
Okay, so those are 2. And so your defensive tackles otherwise.
are Mozzie.
Okay, 1.
Hankins.
2.
And then Gallimore.
3.
And Bohanna would be 4. If you look at Golston, he's 4, right?
And right now, the way
you see,
did you say Osa? Okay, so there's 3. There's Mozzie, Osa, and Hankins as your strictly interior guys, right? And then so you need a 4th in there.
And I think they look at Golston as a tackle.
Okay.
So the 4th would be Gallimore.
And then Gallimore would be 5.
5.
Right? Yeah, 5 and 5. So that's the decision they have to make. Now, to me,
I've made the decision already.
Who you got?
Gallimore.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Not because he went to Oklahoma.
He's the veteran. He's the veteran. He put his work in.
All right, linebackers. Parsons, Clark,
Van Der Esch,
and then you got to figure out, is it Harper, who kind of played well, and could be a special teams guy, and then what do you do with Cox? Malik Jefferson, they were given a chance. He was somewhat banged up. And then Isaiah Land, who they sort of like as a kind of twofer guy, linebacker / pass rusher.
I look at him as an edge, but
yeah.
But from a special team standpoint, he's the same mold as a Overshown.
Right. And
although bigger than Overshown.
And then Cox, they got to make a decision on. Are you keeping him?
So how many don't consider Parsons?
Okay, if I don't consider Parsons,
then your linebackers are Van Der Esch, Clark, and Harper, Cox.
That's 5.
That's 4.
4.
I mean, you obviously have to keep a couple of linebackers as backups.
You'd like 6. That might be a position.
You're looking at waiver wire, too, on that, or veteran guys that have been released out there.
That's a position I'm looking out for.
And using maybe the practice squad also.
Because what about using one of the big safeties? Are we doing that?
That can happen.
They play into it, too.
But here's my deal. If Van Der Esch or...
you forgot Marquise Bell.
Well, I counted him as a defensive back.
Yeah. But he's been playing linebacker.
Well, in kind of their chain. Okay, so here, answer my question. Leighton Van Der Esch or Damone Clark get hurt. Who's my other starting linebacker?
That's where that's
J-Ron Curse.
No.
Who else you got?
That's
not
where
against
you
the
got
run.
Jabril Cox and Devin Harper in that mix.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, Marquise Bell is a sub-package linebacker.
Right. So that's the part to me that they're thin at linebacker.
You figure out how to keep Bell on the roster, and you slide him into the linebacking core because you have so many safeties you want to keep.
Right. But to me, he's a special, kind of a specialty linebacker, right, on my change-up defenses. But I'm looking for a core guy to take Leighton Van Der Esch's spot if he gets hurt. You got Damone Clark. Do I have to then say Parsons is a linebacker?
Well, they're down. Overshown basically took.
Overshown messed this whole thing.
He basically took Anthony Barr's spot.
Yes.
Okay. And so that too, they were replacing Anthony Barr with Overshown. And we talk about Gifford, but it was Anthony Barr's spot that he took. We only talk about Gifford from a special team standpoint. Okay.
Who I think
so they are in need of a linebacker.
Yes. Yes.
So.
And I just don't know that you want to keep getting older at that spot. Like saying, okay, we're going to sign Barr back.
But is he ready to play?
No, Gifford's gone.
I know, but if you were to sign him, consider signing him back.
Oh, I see.
You got 2 minutes to get into what Everson has been waiting for, which is corners and safeties.
I kept 10.
Okay.
I don't know if they can.
Start with the starters.
Okay.
It's less confusing.
Okay, so
you got Gilmore and Diggs, and you got the 3 safeties, Donovan Wilson, Curse, and Hooker.
Okay.
So there's 5 right there.
5. Then after that, Deron Bland.
Corner. He's a starter.
6.
That's 6. There's your 6 starters.
C.J. Goodwin's going to make the team.
But he may not make the team today.
Right. Eric Scott, I think they like.
Okay. 5th-round draft pick.
Marquise Bell.
Okay. Safety.
And then they've got to decide on Wanye Thomas or Kelvin Joseph, I think.
Okay.
So no Nashawn Wright.
Nashawn Wright, what about him?
Well, you got to decide on Wright and Mukwamu also.
Yeah.
So there's 4. Yeah. There's 4 guys right there. Now Mukwamu was playing late in that preseason game.
It's clear we need to expand the roster.
Yeah. You remember last year when you said, did you cut him? I said, yeah, I got it down to 55, right? And then 3 special teams guys, right?
Yeah, when you look at Nashawn Wright, I thought he did well at the end of last year.
See, but he's in a boot still.
Yeah.
So he's one of those that, okay, if it's going to be 4 weeks, you have to keep him on the 53, and then you put him on IR.
This is
Marquise. And then Jordan Lewis is another one who's on PUP, and he can stay on PUP to start.
This is Marquise Bell's chance.
I think they leave him
on PUP, which is 4 weeks.
I think this is Bell's chance to step out and show what he can do.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really his chance to do that. And not just be some guy that's a good story.
Right.
But somebody that can go in there and be considered part of the package.
Well, they started using him in Overshawn's spot on the nickel defense.
Position flexibility.
See, and the other thing you got to figure out, we keep talking about cutting somebody and then signing them back, but how many do you have in that category beside C.J. Goodwin and maybe
deep snapper
Sieg?
Trent Sieg.
Yep. There's not. I don't think there's anybody else you sneak through.
So that opened up 2 spots for today to get someone to IR.
Right. And is there another one that they feel like they can say, okay, just go sit over there and then we'll bring you back?
I think we a lot of options as far as DBs.
You could do it with Cooper Rush.
A lot of options for DBs. A lot of options.
You could do it with Cooper Rush.
Okay.
Unless somebody comes and slams a big contract at him, and he says sayonara.
This late in the season, late in the
that would be just like the Cowboys to do that,
and then get caught
after all the talk. No, I'm not getting caught, but just all the talk about.
And then everybody's like, "Oh, they only kept one quarterback, right. 2 quarterbacks, and Treey Lance is the backup."
Okay.
Don't say that, Bill. Don't bring that up. I don't want that brought up.
All right, so that does it for our
I think we covered it,
day
right?
edition, and I don't know that we got anything solved.
Kickers.
No, he's here.
He's got it. He made it.
Although who just cut their kicker?
Cade York was let go.
Yeah,
local product.
Right.
No, somebody else did too.
And Cleveland cut him. He was a draft pick, and they traded
the Packers. I think the Packers cut a punter or something.
Yes, they did. All right. There'll be a lot of cuts later today. 1,184 people.
All the action's going to start
the
as
next
soon as we
landing
sign
spot
off.
will be at 3 o'clock this afternoon. And we'll be back on Thursday after the smoke clears.
That's right.
Here at the Star in Frisco.
Be ready for our...
You're supposed to say go Cowboys now.
Oh, go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?